How often do you wonder what is wrong with your life? Why do we so often feel stuck? Sometimes the whole world seems to be against us, and other times we question the purpose of our own existence. We think achieving our goals will bring us joy. Success seems to be the only answer to our problems. We seek more wealth, more opportunities, acceptance, and respect in society, and think one day when we find all these things, when we find true love, all our problems will cease to exist. But can it be so? Until then, we continue to exist in the present moment, living without true happiness, peace, or even a sense of fulfillment. I too struggled all my life with these very predicaments until one day I found a simple solution to dealing with the complexities of my mind. The heart of everything is my memoir. It is not just a collection of stories and experiences, but a deep insight into the spiritual power I found within myself. It chronicles my path towards self discovery and enlightenment. It is a blessing to share this with you because I know that there are countless individuals out there who are also trapped in the same thought patterns that I once was. This is the way of liberation. This is the way to peace and the path of self knowledge. This is Kanchi, and welcome to Tapas.
Excerpts from The Heart of Everything.
If I learnt anything on my journey, it is the simple fact that joy does not come from objects, nor from people. The source of joy is always only inside. What is meant by happiness? It is only the absence of suffering. Happiness is not just the procurement of objects. Acute materialism is as much an illness as anything else. It is as widespread as diabetes and heart disease, but this illness is not that which affects just the body. It is a social and cultural illness. It is in its core a mechanism that causes imbalance. There are three main types of imbalances in the material mechanism: having too much, having too little, and the third, not being able to enjoy whether you have too much or too little. There is never such a thing as having just enough. Our mind is subconsciously trained to add, not subtract. This is what is happening in our lives. I remember hearing about the lives of my grandparents. My paternal grandfather worked in a royal palace. He was a farmer by profession, but also worked as part of the royal staff in a small town in Karnataka. In his younger days, his only real way of earning an income was through the production of crops, and the whole town heavily depended on good rains. If the season was bad, they had to rely on getting help from those around them, and praying the next season would be better. If the season was good, they would sell and barter the grains with other farmers and other communities. But they also gave it for free to those who could not afford to buy or barter. A lot of the crops would rot in any case if not used. So naturally, most had enough to take care of their households. My maternal grandmother's childhood was spent next to a river stream where her hut stood. She would dive from atop a tree into the river, which had strong currents, and swim all day and catch fish with her bare hands. This fish was their supper in her final years. The only thing I saw her crave was this fish. She had a large family and saw through many good and bad days, but she always spoke about this river and her days as a carefree child swimming in the river and catching fish. This was her happy place. This is what she wanted to come back to become free again, to become a child again. I feel within all of us, there is a desire for this state of not caring, for this state of freedom. Who doesn't enjoy the liberation of a childlike innocence? Their lives were a lot simpler. They didn't just go to stores and buy things when they got bored or sad. They didn't succumb to retail therapy. I feel they were more connected with nature and themselves, owing a lot to the lack of technology. We imagine that being more technologically advanced makes us more advanced as a human race. But alas, if only having more things made us better. We are constantly shutting down our inner voice, so we don't have to deal with the tough questions that our own conscience asks of us. We respond to our sadness with more clothes and shoes. We hide our loneliness with more movies and TV shows. We find our solace in food and indulge, not in things that fulfill our hearts, but ideologies that strengthen our egos. more is not better. Being lost in the world of incessant information is not better. You are not more knowledgeable because you are more well informed. Information is not knowledge, it is not wisdom. Wisdom exists freely without the need for information. Wisdom is knowing the truth about your own self. Information is everything else, irrelevant in the actual pursuit of peace and happiness. It helps if we look at ourselves, turn the mind inward, and for a change look at what lies within us. Can we really just live with ourselves, without the need for mobile phones, television, social media, acute consumerism, entertainment, and social acceptance? Do we really have the courage to stand alone? Stand tall without the need for crutches of the world? Can we live without mental and emotional crutches? Life is nothing but a constant flux of energies, and the mind is like a candle in the wind, getting swayed by the gusts of wind, attacking it from different directions. What we need is to find a center in all of this, to be centered in the storm. The safest place, sometimes, is being right in the middle of a tornado. Likewise, being at the center of things, centered in your own self, finding the right balance within you. To find the right balance within you, to be centered within ourselves, we need to first let go of things that take our mind outside, those externalizing factors that deny us our birthright peace. Gain this peace, hold on to this peace. The rest has to be rejected, done away with. In whatever we do, balance is important. Walking the middle path, neither too much of anything nor too less. Harmony is the rhythm of life. Nature is only interested in harmony, in balance. Humans as a species have a tendency to push the limits of nature, bringing into this world imbalances previously unknown. But we are not stronger than nature. We don't control Mother Earth. She decides her own destiny. We don't get to decide. Nature always finds a way to balance itself. It could mean natural calamities, or even massive changes in climate, even a virus, but in the end, harmony is restored. There's a great lesson to be learnt here. We need to find that harmony within ourselves. By finding that harmony within, we can express that harmony in the world outside. Even for planning our own lives, structuring them, the ancients have left behind a simple principle. Purushartha. Simply put, it refers to the four goals of life: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Dharma is our human values based on which we lead our life. Artha is the economic values, or refers to making a living. Kama is the procurement of material pleasures and emotional values. And finally, Moksha, which is beyond the three. It is liberation and the values of spiritual life. These pillars are the foundations on which human life is led. Too much Kama, or excessive materialism, is considered an imbalance. Excessive Artha, or running your entire life behind money, is again an imbalance. We need all four for human life to find its fulfillment. But the goal of the first three is only to have the desire, and the means for moksha. They are the steps to reach the fourth stage. Moksha is primary, and if man can find within himself the desire and determination to pursue moksha at all costs, then it can be said to be the greatest accomplishment. It is the purpose of human birth. Only in this birth, as a human, does a being have the intelligence to decipher the truth, to separate falsehoods from the real. I had heard and read about moksha all my life, but like many other people never understood the idea of moksha. What is the need for moksha? Why do we need self-realization? What is the whole point of it? Let me briefly give you an example. You are dreaming, and in this dream you are a king, and you own all the prosperity of the world, servants, lands, pleasure gardens, and wealth. So what do we do with such a dreamer? Should he wake up at all or keep dreaming? The dream is unreal. No matter the opulence, it is untrue. The point of waking up is just that. Waking up is its own purpose. In the same way, waking up to the reality of your own self is its own purpose. Why would you continue to live as sheep if you know once and for all that you are a lion? Moksha is the end of suffering, no doubt, because suffering is caused by imagining yourself to be something other than who you are. You imagine boundaries and bondage without knowing the real nature of your own self. The birth of knowledge is the end of suffering. It is synonymous. Without true self-knowledge, man will continue to suffer now and in the future. Life of ignorance is nothing but fleeting pleasures with pauses of endless suffering. Many people have already begun to restructure their lives, giving up greed for food, taking up a non-violent diet of veganism, moving from a fast food culture to growing their own food in organic farms and eating their own produce. So many have given up foods that contribute to harming our world and fellow beings. This is a step in the right direction, towards harmony with our environment. We should adhere to non-violence, not just in our diets, but in our thoughts, actions, as well as speech. Giving up hateful words towards any being. Not just controlling the tongue to eat healthy and organic foods, but also controlling the tongue from speaking ill and with malice. There are those who are moving away from the big cities, creating communities and homes that are more embedded in Mother Earth, not just exploiting nature, but contributing by creating forests and self-sustainable living models, moving away from unhealthy muscle growth regimens, and choosing holistic fitness programs over those that create an imbalance in us, and moving towards a more natural, harmonious approach towards a healthy body and mind. All of this is great, but this is just a baby step in the awakening of consciousness in man. The minimalism of consumerism is but a first step. What we need is the minimalism of thought and desires that will finally lead to the eternal silence of being. Our ancient sages have already given us a gold standard of living based on human principles that are in tune with the frequency of our universe. These principles are guiding lights that help us walk the path of spirituality and life itself with disciplines that keep away the negativity from polluting our body and mind. This is called the Ashtanga Yoga, or the 8 limbs of yoga. Yoga is not just a set of physical exercises, but a way of living, the path of liberation. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras explain these principles in great detail. The first 2 limbs of this Ashtanga Yoga are yama and niyamas. They are 5 in number. Ahimsa, or non-violence. Non-violence not just by your actions, but also with words and with thought, not bearing any ill will towards any being whatsoever and refraining from harming anyone at any cost. It is also proclaimed in the Vedas that ahimsa is the highest dharma, the highest duty of man. Sathya, or being truthful, always being truthful, never for any reason lying or manipulating others for our benefit. Being truthful is one of those 5 tenets in Hinduism that is given utmost importance. Truthfulness in thought, in speech and action, what you think, so you shall speak, and as you speak, thus thou shalt act. This takes away cunningness in man. It takes away the complications that arise from leading a life of manipulation and lies. Walking a straightforward path is recommended over walking a path of crookedness. It simplifies life, takes away contradictions in man's consciousness, and replaces divisiveness of mind with a united, unfragmented consciousness that mirrors absolute clarity. Asteya means non-stealing, but it has a deeper meaning, not appropriating for yourself what belongs to others. Being free from the idea of entitlement, especially for things that belong to others. This is an antidote to greed and the need to compete, defeat, and conquer. Brahmacharya is celibacy. Sex is the most intimate of all actions between 2 human beings. A lot of energy is being exchanged when 2 people indulge in the act of sex. By itself, sex is nothing to be looked down upon or frowned upon, but it is a precious experience and a delicate one. Like anything else, overindulgence leads to a plethora of problems. Physiologically, the fact that you are sharing your energy with multiple partners can be detrimental to your vibrational frequency. The sexual center is also the center of the great Kundalini, so transforming this energy into a spiritual current is taught in the scriptures. This same energy, when not expended through the lower chakras, becomes a great source of vital force in man. This is of great importance for all students of spirituality, because the lust for another human body can also deter us from being centered in our own selves. Brahmacharya also means constantly meditating on Brahman, or that supreme soul. Abiding as Brahman is Brahmacharya. Aparigraha is the freedom from grasping. The need to hold on, the sense of attachment. This is the root cause of all problems. Desire, Buddha says, is the root cause of all suffering. Being attached to your desires leads not to joy, but untold sorrow. Why is that so? To attain everything we desire is not possible, No man or woman on the planet can claim to have gained everything they desire. Desiring something does not guarantee its fulfillment, no matter what other modern materialistic books speak about desire manifestation. Instead, it takes you away from the present moment, and we start dreaming and working towards a future at the cost of the precious present moment. Making plans, having goals is not wrong, but being deeply attached to them does not help the cause of their manifestation. It only increases greed and anxiety. Today's attachment is the cause for tomorrow's unhappiness. A mother cannot give birth to her child if she wants to hold on to the baby in her womb forever. The goal of pregnancy is delivery. What happens during the pregnancy or after delivery is entirely up to the destiny of the child and the mother. We might have an untold number of desires about how the child should turn out to be, but we cannot control who the child will grow up to be. Nurture plays a small part, but it also embedded the nature of the child in him, even before birth. The seeds of a mango cannot sprout apples. We never know what seeds lay hidden in the consciousness of man and time. Attachment adds no value to anything. It only takes away our ability to experience the fullness of our spirit, because we have reduced our consciousness to a point, to a block of energy, condensed it. Consciousness becomes content of consciousness, a cloud in the sky of your own mind. By attachment, this cloud gets denser and heavier until it starts to wear you down. Instead, let's find joy in things by being free of the need to constantly control our world. The only thing we can control is our own inner world. We can do this by restraining our wild mind, and that comes with practice. Out of the 5 niyamas, the first one is Saucha. Saucha is cleanliness, cleanliness of mind and body. But the significance is not just cleanliness, but purity. Purity in action, thought, and speech. Purity not in the sense of a race or caste, but purity and clarity of vision, and a purpose filled with one-pointed devotion to the ideal of self-realization. Letting nothing else muddle this purpose, staying clear of all vices and addictions. Santosha in Sanskrit is contentment. This is also a synonym for joy. It is interesting to note that the same word is used to denote both contentment and joy, whereas in the English language, they are meant to signify different things. Joy is a result of contentment. Contentment is the essence of joy. If we understand that they are not separate things, then the pursuit of happiness gives way to finding contentment in everyday activity, finding contentment in gardening, or just walking, just having coffee, or even just sitting and enjoying the sunset. These simple acts can become powerful agents of joy and peace. Again, we are told to practice Santosha, how to practice being joyful. The answer is simple. By being joyful, happiness can be a choice. If we choose to be grateful, if we choose to completely embrace the moment and settle in the moment completely without the need to seek anything outside, we are already happy. So practice Santosha, practice happiness. Don't wait for it. Practice it in the present moment. Tapas is the third principle, niyama. To burn away is tapas. What are we burning away? We are burning away our old karmas, our old habit patterns, and our old ways of living with hatred, greed, attachment, and fear. How do we do this? With self-discipline. Tapas encapsulates every aspect of the spiritual path. Tapas is self-discipline. Tapas is practice. It is uninterrupted practice of yoga. Without tapas, without the will to practice, and the determination to put in the effort day in and day out, the yama and niyamas cannot fructify. Tapas is the purification of all faculties of man, making him a fit candidate for self-realization. Swadhyaya is self-study, not focusing on the information of the world, but gaining real knowledge through insight. With insight meditation, we start looking within ourselves, our own habit patterns, our own mental blocks, our emotional anchors, and our responses to the world outside. Turning the outward mind within and looking back into the self and becoming a student of the self. This is Swadhyaya. This helps in introverting the mind, recognizing our patterns so we can liberate from the bondage we create for ourselves. Finally, we come to Ishvara Pranidhana. This is surrender. Now, who do we surrender to? Do we surrender to the Guru, to our chosen deity or destiny? This is not as important as the act of surrender itself. giving up all the desire for the fruits of our action, giving up even the desire for liberation. This is the final stage, giving up all doubts about the self. Surrender is the final master key to open the door to the path of self-realization. With self-doubt and faithlessness, nothing can be achieved. To achieve anything of value in life, we need to really believe in the path, in our actions, and in the final goal. This is pranadhana, surrendering wholeheartedly to the Guru, to the divine, to the path of self-realization, surrendering to the self itself. This is true abundance. When there is no doubt, absolute faith and clarity reign supreme. This is the state of no return. Then you are truly ready to jump into the ocean of bliss, into the ocean of consciousness. Surrender takes courage. Surrender demands dispassion. When you surrender, you don't wait. You don't think. You jump. You embrace the divine.